Boom, boom, everybody. Happy Saturday to you, and I hope you are having an amazing day and an amazing week so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another amazing episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space, you know I'm crazy about. You know the drill. Make sure you hop into the comments, say, hey, where you tuning in from, so I can give you the shout out that, you so richly deserve. But as always, I always welcome you and always appreciate you giving me a little bit of your time on every Saturday afternoon. Like I said, we're here every Saturday, 3 p.m. Central Time, live on the YouTube channel, LinkedIn, the website, and the Facebook group for the show. Make sure that, you get plugged into the Facebook group community, facebook.com/group/The Color of Motion. Get plugged in. We share a lot of industry news, have a lot of great conversations, and just all around fun there. So I definitely don't want you to miss out on anything. Again, facebook.com/groups/The Color of Motion. You can also get plugged into us there on Instagram, the Instagram.com, The Color of Motion. We always want you to get plugged into all the channels there. And again, like I said, pretty soon, probably next quarter, going to be trying to stream from there now that they've kind of opened it up a little bit. Like I said, we're live to YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook and website. But I always kind of encourage everybody to get plugged into the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Don Terrell. There you can check out all the past great episodes that we've had and all the great content that goes up on the channel. So share, subscribe, comment, because that always helps the algorithm. But again, we'd definitely love to have you as part of the family. I want to thank today's sponsor for the show, DG Graphics. They do all the graphics, animations, overlays for the show. They help us look good as well. But if you're a business or a brand that's looking to level up your brand content, get you a clear visual message, then you definitely want to reach out to them as well. So as always, thank DG Graphics for sponsoring the show. For sure. What else? Let me get this off of here. Oh, also, the store is open, so make sure you hop on over to the store, pick you up something nice. You know my thing. I always want to see as many people as I possibly can with some Color of Motion swag. We have great shirts, hoodies, mugs, constantly putting new things in the shop. So, and definitely, hit me up. Let me know if you want something in there that you don't see in there. You can scan the barcode on the screen, take you over to the shop, or you can go to colorofmotion.net/swag and pick you up something nice. My only request is that if you do pick up something, make sure you snap a picture of yourself, send it on over to me so that we can share on the channel and share on the show as well. So, I want to see as many people as I possibly can in Color of Motion gear there. But again, I hope you guys are super excited about the show as I am. Been looking forward to this. And if you, like I said, are a VFX fan, filmmaker, or just content creator, then today's show is definitely going to be for you, and you definitely don't want to miss out. So with that, like I said, I think we can kind of get this train on the tracks and rolling here. What do you say?
Do it.
Yes, yes, yes. We are back and ready to rock and roll. Miss Elizabeth, appreciate you tuning in for sure. Yeah, I got it. Trust me. Like I said, when I started sending out or started giving out swag to my guests, I had already had a big backlog of guests that I'm having to work through. So definitely, Elizabeth, your shirt will be coming soon for sure. So I got a lot of guests. After 145 episodes, I got a lot of guests to go back through. So keep on the lookout for that. But appreciate you stopping by, Elizabeth, and checking out the show. Again, everybody that's hopping in, please hop into the comments because you know I always like this to be an interactive type of show for sure. And I can give you, like I said, the shout out that you so richly, richly deserve. All right, let's get this, like I said, show started. Super excited about my next guest. I am a big consumer of his content as well and his assets. So definitely looking forward to sitting down and having a great conversation with him. But my next guest, he's an award-winning entrepreneur, filmmaker, and visual effects artist from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and is the founder and CEO of ActionVFX, the film industry's leading source for visual effects stock footage. ActionVFX work has been used in productions such as Stranger Things, Avengers Endgame, and the Call of Duty video games, as well as so many more movies. He currently resides in Johnson City, Tennessee, where Action VFX is based. He started making short films while living in Haiti with his friends when he was 10, after his dad got them a video camera. He moved to the States a couple of years later and was 14 when he discovered you could do visual effects on your home computer. He dove headfirst into it, and the rest, as they say, is history. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Rodolphe Pierre-Louis.
Hey,
Rodolphe, super, super excited to have you on. Been looking forward to this for a while. And like I said before, I am a big consumer and user of your content as well. And you may see during the show. But couldn't wait to sit down and just have a great conversation with you. And I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit about your journey, what you built, and the things that you do for the visual effects industry.
no, hey, first off, thank you, Don, for having me. Super cool that you reached out. And yeah, been looking forward to this. Excited to talk and maybe reveal some secrets along the way.
We always love those on the color of motion for sure. Always. Um, I want to kind of start out. What was it like for you, kind of growing up in Haiti? Did you have any kind of illusions or dreams of being something other than what you're doing now? Did you think that you'd be doing something different?
Yeah, it's funny because I guess growing up, when you're a kid, you want to be something different every day. It's that, oh,
Yeah.
I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. And I think I had a phase when I wanted to be the president of Haiti. but but no, when my dad he got us the video camera, as I would say, ever since that's been the one thing that I've focused on is thinking, okay, I'm going to make movies. That's what I'm going to do. It's yeah, it was kind of a love at first sight sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, the ultimate dream, honestly, since I've been 10 was to make movies. and
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I
yeah,
think.
so don't necessarily picture exactly action VFX right now, obviously, but I
Yeah.
always knew I wanted to be part of films.
Films. Yeah. I thought that I remember you guys did kind of. I guess you could say behind the scenes. You showed your early,
Hmm.
VFX, and I thought that was really, really funny. Just to see the progression. When you got your dad's got a hold of your dad's video camera,
Hmm.
were you just shooting films, or were you thinking kind of, the effects that went into them?
Yeah, at that time, back in Haiti, I wasn't really thinking of effects at all, and it was like be like almost 20 years ago. So it was
Yeah.
definitely a little tape camcorder and stuff, and no, it was really just, hey, I have this camera where I can make the stuff that I see on TV. So immediately got some friends together and started shooting. Of course, like I didn't have like a computer to edit footage, and like I didn't have any way to really get the footage in the computer, anyways.
So it's
So
just all in camera.
yeah, so I remember I would pause and then switch the angle and then on pause. And once you play it back, though, it looks like there's multiple cameras on set. So
Awesome, awesome. So, did you go to school for learning VFX, or was that just something that you kind of self-taught and just kind of picked up on your own along the way?
yeah, I was definitely self-taught in that way. Went to, I guess, Internet University, uh, YouTube University, as
Yeah,
they
yeah,
call it, and really just going at it, learning different stuff and practicing things. I did end
yeah,
up going and studied film in college, but like there wasn't any visual effects taught in the program, so
yeah,
everything that I had learned was just through trial and error and lots of YouTube tutorials. So
yeah, yeah. Well, for you, what was kind of the hardest thing about learning visual effects? Was it the thinking out the shots, or was it the software, kind of learning your way around the software that you were using?
hmm
How the
yeah,
VFX would look in a film?
yeah, I would say like biggest issue early on was just computer power,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
right? Because it's yeah, they really have like a good machine to work with. I remember throughout high school, I would just use my dad's desktop, which I mean, he mainly used it for Word documents and
yeah.
things. So it wasn't something that was
You start
geared up
throwing
to do
visual effects
anything.
at it, it starts coughing and smoking.
Yeah, it's like once you have a certain number of layers in there, you quickly realize, okay, this is not the thing. So I would say that was a big problem. Another one would just be getting access to good footage to actually
Yeah,
practice on and do stuff on, because it's like, again, had I think by that time we had upgraded to another very basic video camera. That one was digital though, so I could get the footage in in the computer
yeah,
then. But yeah, it's like if you're trying to practice green screening and different things like that on that quality footage, it's not
yeah,
necessarily the best thing. So yeah, like access to just good gear was a big disadvantage. But again, I like to see things positive too. Like
yeah,
I think it's also an advantage. It forces you to try to be more creative and find workarounds and simpler ways of doing stuff, which
yeah, yeah,
helps for sure.
yeah. Um, coming from, like I said, growing up in Haiti and then coming over here, the industry as it is now is really starting to grow. Obviously, films today, are really heavy in VFX. The industry is, growing in other places outside of the U.S. Did you see a big interest kind of while you were there in the industry in Haiti? And do you feel like it's going to grow there in Haiti?
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely going to grow. I remember when I was growing up, there wasn't a big like we did have Haitian movies and stuff, but it was very rare. I could count on less than one hand the
Yeah.
number of Haitian action movies I remember seeing as a kid. It was always love stories or
Yeah.
comedy or things like that. But yeah, like it's been cool to see like more recently. I guess not like the film industry hasn't picked up as much in Haiti
Yeah.
as I would like to see it, but definitely when I look at commercials that are being produced and stuff there,
Yeah.
and the effects and the graphics and stuff, it's definitely cool to see like okay, like things are definitely evolving a lot and making use of new technologies and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's growing for sure. Um, and at what point did you decide, um, you know, to start action of VFX and go the business route as opposed to just being a going to a studio and being a VFX artist? You know,
Hmm.
when was that kind of divide that you said, "Hey, I think this is a great route to go down. Start this studio, supply assets for VFX artists, as
Hmm.
opposed to just saying, I just want to be a VFX artist and get a job at a studio."
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Man, I could probably answer that one for 30 minutes. So let me think on how to best summarize it. So in addition to loving film, I think naturally I've been pretty entrepreneurial as a person and I've always loved business. I was
Yeah.
actually 11 when I technically had my first business with a friend
Okay.
of mine. And I wasn't even thinking of it as a business back then. We're selling magazines around town. So I was a pretty sheltered kid. So my parents wouldn't let me just go around trying to sell stuff, but he was
Yeah.
the opposite. So I was like, okay, I'll get the supply and you go sell. And
And you can do the
so,
selling.
yeah, so it's like I've always loved business and always loved taking things into my own hands like that. So yeah, it's like the thought on necessarily just getting a normal job, I guess, was never a thing I was going after. It's
Yeah.
I've always just felt, okay, I want to do this. How can I figure out how to do it? And that's always how I've thought of it. And but yeah, like definitely wasn't planning on starting a VFX stock footage company. That's not something
Yeah. Yeah.
anyone is
Yeah.
just like, yeah,
Well,
that's
I
my
mean,
dream.
you
I want
weren't.
to do it.
Well, what were you thinking then? If you weren't thinking about starting a VFX company, and as you were starting to get older into it, where
Mm,
was it being a filmmaker? Was it being a director type of thing? What did you kind of
yeah,
start to think about that you wanted to do? You know, as you were getting older.
yeah. I feel like the story of how everything kind of happened. I would say that journey started as a senior in high school. So I, graduated from high school here in Tennessee, and one thing I learned because like I was this kid from Haiti, right? Was it a U.S. citizen or anything like that? I did get good grades, but then I quickly found out a lot of scholarships
Yeah.
required you to be either a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, and then
Yeah.
we're just like, oh, like I'm just here on a visa and stuff. So I think that kind of unlocked something where it made it clear that if I was going to go to college, I was going to have to find a way to make money to
Yeah.
pay for it. My parents weren't rich or anything like that, so it was. So I started thinking, and then thought, okay, I'll start freelancing, and but not for visual effects specifically. Mostly started doing music videos for local bands and stuff
Okay.
like that, and figured, hey, that'd be a good way to try to do it, and get some income. Which I was blessed to be able to do that because by the time, like, if you're messing with stuff since you're 10, by the time I was 17, I had picked up a few skills along the way, so I was able to shoot some music videos and stuff, and then ended up moving to Miami, which is where I ended up going to Miami-Dade College there. So did more of that. There's definitely a lot more up and coming artists in the
Yeah.
Miami area than
Yeah.
than where I was in Tennessee, and so yeah, so always just yeah, I was creating, directing, shooting, editing music videos, and every once in a while I would also need to do visual effects for them as well. I'll say the official journey started, it was around 2011, so I would have been 19 at the time, where the software Hit Film came out, and Hit Film was like this really
Yeah,
cool visual effects software that makes some editing and
yeah,
stuff. It
yeah.
was like a like Premiere and After Effects mixed in
Mixed
one. It was
together. Yeah, I liked it. I got actually got Hit Film, and it was a great company. I
yeah,
haven't seen as much from them lately. I used to see a lot of their content, but I haven't seen much from them lately. And like I said, I have it on my
yeah.
computer and was using it for a while.
No, yeah, like Hit Film, and I would say, FX Home, the company behind it, definitely impacted my life a ton. Because way back in the days, it's their software that I started using,
Yeah,
and then ended up moving to After Effects, and then Hit Film came out, and I remember feeling like, okay, I want to be the first person in the world making tutorials for Hit Film because this thing is new. So I
yeah,
started this YouTube channel, and yeah, so I really was the very first person that didn't work for Hit Film
that
or
was
FX Film in the world that was making tutorials for Hit Film. So started the channel, and it was going well. Again, big nerd. So I think one summer, almost every day, I was cranking out a new tutorial, and started growing an audience, getting some subscribers on the YouTube channel. And naturally, as someone who's very entrepreneurial, once you have an audience,
yeah,
the thought is, okay, like how do we monetize this, like what's
yeah,
something I could provide to this audience. And believe it or not, like the idea of making stock assets has always been cool to me. Like I've been fascinated ever since I found about it.
yeah.
I think I was like a junior in high school the first time I tried to make my own stock footage. It didn't really work out. I think I went to Walmart to get like corn syrup and
Oh,
food
okay.
coloring to make blood and stuff. Anyways, I didn't know what I was doing. It did not work. But anyways, once I had the channel, that's when I thought, okay, let's actually try to make a product. And so made this. It was actually fully digital, so they didn't actually go out and film anything,
Yeah.
but it was called Shootout Stock Pack, which was just some muzzle flashes, some blood effects and stuff. And so that was the first time, really 5 years before Action VFX ever launched. But that was like the introduction to the world of creating stock assets and
Yeah, yeah.
actually selling
So
it online.
So when you did start Action VFX and really started getting the ball rolling with the company, what were the types of assets that you were putting out? Were they more, like you said, muzzle flashes, blood effects, things like that, or did you
Mhm.
kind of immediately start jumping into some of the bigger things that you produce now?
Yeah, yeah, it's like, so my YouTube channel, well, it was called Rody Polis. So I did Rody Polis from 2011 to 2015. And then 2015 was when I felt, okay, let's take this to the next level and actually create effects that could be used at the highest level of production. So something that the Hollywood movies would actually put in their things. And the first thing was, okay, well, what would be that product? And of course, I came up with, well, it needs to be real and large scale. So let's actually try to do real explosions and fire and do it in a way that I felt there was a lot of the stuff that were out there could have been shot better, could have been thought through better as far
Yeah,
as being framed in a way that's most helpful to compositors. So had all this idea on ways I could try to do it better. And yeah, so that was kind of the vision. So when we launched Action VFX in June 2016, I think we launched with 5 products. And so we had some explosions, some fire, and I think we had some smoke stuff. So yeah, it definitely started out more as, hey, this is the cool stuff you need for action movies. Hence the name.
Action
Action
VFX, that's
VFX.
for sure.
But
It
but
and do
since
you?
then we've evolved to offering more than just action stuff because
Yeah,
like we have
yeah,
trees and fog and things like that because you need all of those assets as well.
yeah, for sure. Um, and do you feel like you know the fact that you spent a good portion of time shooting, actually shooting film, and doing the video stuff, that they gave you a more unique perspective of the assets that you were creating, thinking of it from a director's point of view. Oh, okay, I can see how positioning, like you said, positioning the shots that you're making and making them really something that a VFX
Mhm.
artist could really use.
Yeah, no, 100%. It is weird when I think of it because sometimes I do truly ask myself, I'm like, huh, that's kind of crazy that, this dude from Haiti is actually the one that came and did action VFX. But then the more I think about my life and my background, the more I realize that, yeah, it is a lot of different skills that had come together to allow me to start
Yeah,
creating the assets because like imagine if I was just a visual effects artist, then I wouldn't really know how to shoot things, how to light things, about different lenses and different, things. And if I'd never directed like a music video, then I wouldn't really know, okay, how am I going to run this production? So it's all those little things that added to not just knowing enough about visual effects to know how to make the thing work for me,
yeah,
but actually being able to, hey, okay, this is the camera I'm gonna use, this is the lens I'm going to use, this is how I'm going to set up the lights and to actually make the things happen. So yeah, it's like every little thing that I had done up to that point, I would say definitely contributed to being able to actually,
create the
yeah,
stuff.
make the assets and actually start the company. So
Yeah, and I'm curious, with your one, how you shoot like a big explosion up against a green screen to where it's shot out, and then two, when you're doing big shots like that or pyrotechnics like you do you have to get like city certificates or things to let the city know that, hey, we're doing this, we're shooting explosions, that type of thing?
yeah, for sure. It's like for all those large scale stuff, like we work with professional pyrotechnicians, like the guy that we use, his name's Robert Fortner. He does really great work. And yeah, like we have to get permits and everything like that to get it set up. But it's like the good thing though is we're all based in Tennessee, which is also a better
Cool.
place than most to blow things up.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do it so much in a city setting. How that might
So
work.
yeah, so it's like the being like living in a smaller town here definitely had been very helpful to be able to go out and do all of those things with a bit less red tape than some
Yeah,
other places.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, we still have to get permits and just ensure that we're doing everything legally, alerting
yeah.
the
And
police stations and stuff. So
And in that kind of same vein of, like I said, the business and building action of VFX, what's been kind of the biggest challenge just building this company out, and your biggest kind of learning curve for you just building this company out and how it's grown to this point?
yeah, yeah, great question. Man, there are so many challenges. So I don't know if I would say these are just the ones that are coming to my mind
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right now. I would say the first big one is actually growing a team, right?
yeah,
Because like for 5 years before Action VFX, it was just me. Like I'm just this guy doing everything. But yeah, eventually you have to actually build a team and grow that team. And when you're building a team, they're not doing you a favor. You
Yeah,
have
it's
to
paying.
pay them
You
and
gotta
stuff.
pay.
So you need to figure out how to actually make the business profitable. So in the early stages, was definitely that, like actually bringing groups of people together and actually having them buy into the vision and stuff. And I would say I definitely got lucky. Like the first person I ever hired, he's our COO, and also he's currently one of my business partners now,
Yeah,
Luke Thompson. And so yeah, that I always say was one of those God things where I did not possess the hiring skills to choose him, but it we're at the right place at the right time, and we started working together, and it worked out. Also made a lot of mistakes early on hiring people.
yeah,
Just, being an experience and not knowing what you don't know. So I would say hiring was a big one, like building a team.
yeah,
I would say another big challenge had been like the fact that I was the one that was most involved in the products. It's been very hard, and we're still, I'm still struggling with that now. Is to get out of our products,
yeah. Get out of
if
the
that
business
makes
and work
sense.
on the business. No, it's
Yeah, yeah, because it's especially making VFX assets and shooting VFX stock footage is not something that's so common that you
yeah,
can just like, oh yeah, like, oh, you've done that, hey, cool, come work for. So it's definitely been a struggle to actually, yeah, properly scale the team and then get out of it. We've
yeah,
made progress along the way, like we have an actual product team now, but
yeah.
it's still it's still like, I would say my overall goal would be to be useless to our products. Like, hey, you don't need me. It's going by itself.
Say
It's
you're
a
the
it's a
face of the
life of its
product now.
own.
Well, and along along the line, as you were creating the content and the assets, did you just allow it to be kind of an organic thing with visual effects artists picking it up, or did you actively kind of go out after VFX artists to say, "Hey, we're creating these assets. Use them. Go to some of these
Mhm.
studios." Like you said, now your shots are being used on some of the biggest films
Mhm.
out there. Is that something that you kind of actively go after these art VFX artists to use your content, or are you just leaving it up to your channel to kind of, oh, they come across it, or and the advertising that you put out?
Yeah, I mean, a big part of it is definitely we do a lot of advertising and organic content and stuff these days. But again, like where we are at now was not where we were back in
Yeah,
2016. I would say the one big thing that really helped. So originally, I had planned to fund Action VFX solely based on like money that I had saved up over the
yeah,
years, and then had a first shoot. Um, was a classic case of you don't know what you don't know until you're actually there. So that first show was a waste. Did not get any good products out of it, and I ran out of money, which was which was a bummer. So that was in the summer of 2015. So, but it ended up being the a big blessing, like truly the biggest blessing that could have happened, because so I had no more money left, and then also didn't have a product that I could sell. But at least didn't have a good product that I could
yeah.
sell. Like I could have been like, okay, like here's some stuff, people, but it's like it
It's
wouldn't
not
have
good, but here it is.
yeah, it wouldn't have done what we wanted. Which then I thought the idea to, hey, let's do a Kickstarter campaign.
Mm,
Because again, back to Hit Film, I remember a few years before that they had done a Kickstarter to raise money to do a Mac version
yeah,
of Hit Film, and I
yeah,
saw it worked. So I thought, hey, like if you can do that, then surely, because I truly believed in the product too. I truly believed in the need, because back then truly felt like there were so few options of stock assets that everyone were using the same stuff, and
yeah.
you could really easily pinpoint like, oh, I know this explosion, I've seen it a million times, oh, I know this muzzle flash and stuff. And so I felt, okay, well, yeah, Kickstarter could be a viable way to find people who would believe in that product and believe in what we're trying to do and actually help fund it. So the Kickstarter, again, biggest blessing in disguise, because we're trying to raise $20,000 on Kickstarter, ended up raising 59,000, which ended up spending all of that and then some to launch Action VFX. So it's like, man, I'm glad we didn't just raise
20,000.
the 20. But the Kickstarter, like, this is just a long way for me to say, like, the Kickstarter was a big thing that helped get attention,
Yeah.
because I remember I wanted to spread the news about the Kickstarter, and I had reached out to one of those VFX news sites and was like, hey, like, we have this thing, this is what I'm doing. When you're starting and you're so passionate about what you're doing, it's like, this is the
Yeah.
thing I'm doing, and they're like, oh, sorry, we don't share about Kickstarters. And then I wrote a few different ones and kept on pestering and stuff, and eventually one of them agreed, like, okay, like, I will post about it. And then once they posted about it, I used that article to then go to some other ones and, like,
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
hey, see, like, they posted it, like, so you can trust it. So a few of those, I think maybe like 3 or 5 of those sites ended up sharing about the Kickstarter. And, like, it's honestly, it's still now to this day that I'm meeting some people from, like, whether it's like studio owners
Yeah.
or big time VFX supervisors that are saying that, oh, we supported the Kickstarter way back. And I'm always just blown away, like, what? Like, it's like, that was,
Hey,
yeah.
but you did the right thing. No, you leveraged, the things that you got and the people that did use it. I think one of my guests, Chris Dove, talked about that when he was on the show. Hey, leverage when you get, a, you know, a foothold in something, leverage it for the next thing. So
Yeah.
you did the right thing. And you mentioned a minute ago about, some the assets before that other people were doing, you could easily pick out. Are you able to, easily pick out of these big films now? Hey, that's something that we shot or
Mhm.
something that we created. I mean, is it easy for you to pick those things out now?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's like, yeah, especially if it's a product that I was directly involved in, which was most of them. So it's like, yeah, it's a great feeling too, to be able to be watching a movie or a show and say, oh, hey, like, I remember this asset. I remember when we shot it. I remember
And
how
is that
cold it was
surprising to you
outside.
when you do find, like I said, shots in such big films like Stranger Things and the Avengers Endgame? Um, and do the VFX artists kind of reach out to you and say, hey, I used this shot, or you find out how they kind of came about it?
It's like sometimes we do know, like, when people, because we do try to keep good relationships with all the studios, but I would say most of the time though, because it's a
Yeah.
stock website, so someone can really just pick out something and buy it and then use it, and we'll never really know until we're watching it, and it's like, oh, hey, like, this is this is
Wonderful.
cool. So yeah, for most of them, I can definitely easily pick it out. But for some stuff, like, as we've actually started building a team, some stuff would be harder for me if I wasn't
Yeah.
as involved in it. Like, actually, just a couple of days ago, one of our past team members that used to be on the team, he shared something about some slime assets that he had created on something, and actually commented, like, I wrote him and I was like, man, I could have seen that music video 100 times and I never would have thought, oh, that's Action VFX slime. But the fact that he's the one that made them on our team, he was able to pick it out
Easily.
immediately. So,
Nice. And again, everybody just jumping in. We're having a fun conversation with Rodolphe Pierre-Louis, from CEO and founder of Action VFX. And like I said, if you're a filmmaker, VFX artist, just a content creator, I'm pretty sure you've probably heard of and used some of their content before. Northern Wind Comics. Paul, I appreciate you stopping by for sure. Uh, Facebook user, I'm not sure, but would love to rock one of those. I'm assuming you may be talking about the swag, but definitely identify. I'm not monitoring Facebook, so I can't see your name. Oh, if you do happen to be on Facebook, go to ecam.com / connect, and that will allow Ecam to pull your name and your picture so I can see who you are. Otherwise, most times if we're not connected or some kind of way, Facebook usually just comes over Facebook user. And if I'm not monitoring the Facebook page while it's going live, I won't know who it is. But appreciate you tuning in as always. For you, obviously you've seen the industry change a lot since you initially got into it, and movies today are really VFX heavy. you know
Mm-hmm.
um Obviously that kind of goes for you and your business, the more the better. But do you feel like movies are really they kind of lean heavily on VFX? Do you feel like the movies today really lean heavy on VFX?
No, yeah, I mean it's yeah, there's a lot of visual effects, and the funny thing is there's even a lot more visual effects than we know of, because invisible visual effects is so prevalent these days that even you're watching a normal scene of two people talking and
Yeah,
there's so many different little things happening. It's really everywhere. And yes, it's like, do I think there's too much visual effects? I would say no, of course not. Please, the more the merrier.
I wouldn't expect you to say that, but I mean,
No, it's
obviously,
like I do get where you're coming from though, is it's like VFX is a tool, right? And
yeah,
I would feel like anything. Um there's good ways to use it. There's not so good ways to go about it. I definitely myself do prefer movies that have a good mix of practical and like CG stuff, just
yeah,
because it's but again, there's also many movies that I thought were practical that were
yeah, that
actually
they weren't.
completely CG. So it really just depends on really the care and the vision behind it. I
Yeah,
think it's yeah, in the end, and I think maybe that's because I want to be a director and stuff. I think
yeah,
the best directors always, I feel like, use visual effects better,
yeah,
because
yeah,
they have a better understanding of it and better love for the craft, that it's not necessarily just let's take a shortcut, but simply let's make use
yeah.
of the
The
best
medium.
tool we have. Because
Yeah.
it's yeah, like I would never say practical is always better than visual effects. Like I don't, yeah, I'm not one of those people, because one example I would give is, I think it was The Last Jedi,
Okay.
the recent Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And beautiful movie, like very great effects, cinematography is really good. And then out of the left field, it's like here goes Puppet Yoda in one scene. and and I'm sorry, it's like there's no reason for Puppet Yoda to be like, when did that movie come out? Like to 2016, I don't even remember. Like, but there's no good reason to be showing
Yeah.
me a puppet. Like, I do not believe that this is a being that exists. Like, so I would say like Yoda should have definitely been CG in that
Oh
movie,
man.
because that is the tool that would get you the best results. But again, Yoda used to be CG in the prequels, and a lot of people complain. So I'm sure some people are like, "Oh, it's the puppet again," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, like, it's like
I
it's a
guess
it's
I'm
the
old
green
school.
puppet."
I like the original. The original Yoda was just, I don't know. The puppet just did it for me. But you like those, but I can appreciate, and I'm sure you do, those directors that can find this good balance of whether
Mhm,
it's practical or whether it's CG digital,
mhm,
and not have it hinder the story. Like I said, you can see some visual effects, you can see some practical effects that I look at some of the old Godzilla movies and I'm like, wow,
Hmm.
you can see the zipper in the back of the back of the suit. But, like I said, you just appreciate those ones that, like I said, are just, and I think those are the good directors, the ones that can really find that balance of what medium they're going to use, um, but not let it hinder the story. I think Guillermo del Toro is an amazing one that he just, whether it's a practical effect or whether it's, you know, stop motion or whatever it is he uses, the medium that he uses doesn't cloud the movie itself. But I think, and like you were saying before, I think when you think visual effects, you think, these big Marvel movies and you think these big effects. And then there are a lot of small things, whether it's, set extension or something like that, that you may not necessarily pick up that it
Hmm.
is a visual effect and something that was digitally created.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, like at the end of the day, it's yeah, I think movies are gonna continue having more visual effects. I don't think it's going to slow down. I think, in fact, I would say visual effects is being more accessible
Yeah.
to a lot more people, and really, action VFX is part of making that happen too, right?
Yeah, you're
Because
feeding into the
it's
monster there.
yeah, it's like technically, when you think about it, with the way our prices are set up,
Yeah.
anyone could really, if you have $20, it's like you
Yeah.
really could go on our website and get yourself some stuff and really use a large scale explosion that was shot for real, where we had to get a crew and permits and pyrotechnicians to do it, and now you can add that into your projects. And there's a lot of advancements in that, in like across the board. And so
Yeah.
yeah, like I think visual effects is going to keep on being more prevalent.
Hey, and hey, I love it, and how I like to do it.
Hey, nice, nice.
I
I'm definitely
love the
impressed
content.
with this whole show setup you have, like your transitions and your backgrounds. This is
Yeah,
a very
thank
cool
you.
setup.
I love the content. I use it. Not that I'm a VFX artist, but like you said, they're just you have such great assets, and they're shot really, really well, and they're shot with um, use case scenario in mind. So that's why I love it, and definitely. I know any VFX person or anybody that's just interested in VFX definitely has gone to Action VFX and picked up some stuff. I know I have. Um, you're starting now. We're starting. Obviously, the industry is just moving at a lightning pace. AI is a big thing now. What are your thoughts on AI and as it pertains to what Action VFX done, and do you
Mm,
see it creeping even more into kind of the space of where okay, I can just use AI to create whatever it is I need, that type of thing.
yeah, no, for sure. It's yeah, AI is this weird thing for me, because on one hand, being someone that just loves cool technology and stuff, it's like, hey, yeah, let's see what's the new thing you can do. But then at the same time, having a business in the space, and I know a lot of people who work in VFX,
Yeah,
there's always like that healthy sense of fear and concern, like, like what does all this mean exactly? And which is like, for us at Action VFX, like one thing we had to, like, we've definitely had to have serious conversations about the business and the future of the business, and essentially, I guess, what Action VFX, like, ultimately, what do we want to do
yeah,
for our users? Because what you ultimately do for your users and the products you sell, I don't think it's necessarily the one and the same thing. Because, like, currently we sell VFX assets, But it's like, what's the ultimate goal here? Well, the ultimate goal is to help people make visual effects better and faster. And that can take different forms. It doesn't have to be solely the asset. So it was kind of the conversation we were having where, okay, well, do we imagine a world where someone can just type fire
Yeah.
asset, and then it's like, oh, there it is. It's like, oh, then you don't really need action VFX to go get a real thing. And it's like, sure, you can say, hey, well, today you can't do that, but you and I both know at the rate that things are moving,
Yeah. It's
it's
getting
like earlier
crazy.
this week with, I think, Sora is what it's called from
Yeah. Yeah.
AI. It's just mind blowing stuff. Like just a year ago, something like that, you would have said, oh, that will never be possible, and then it's moving so fast. So I guess all that to say is like the way I see for us in the future of action VFX is to, I guess, just be more open minded and position the business to not solely see like assets as the end all be all. It's
Yeah.
simply a path to helping people do better work, do faster work, do easier work, and yeah. So we're doing a few different things we have working just to prepare ourselves for a world where, hey, maybe we won't need to go and shoot this big explosion and stuff.
Yeah.
But there will be something that we can do to provide value to artists, which at the end of the day, that's the ultimate goal. So
Yeah, yeah. And now, I mean, like you said, as you know, the industry progresses, I'm pretty sure you're starting to see a lot more companies out there that are, providing assets. Adobe Stock, uh, Video Copilot does it with some of their stuff. Are you starting to see, like I said, a lot more companies that are providing, you know, kind of, the assets?
yeah, yeah, because I remember when we were launching, really the main companies that really had on our radar would have been, yeah, Video Copilot for sure, with Action Essentials
Yeah,
and FX Elements. They were here before us. They did great stuff too. Yeah, like so it was like definitely like not too much going on. And I think last time I counted like all the different websites that I could consider to be like competitors
yeah,
to what we did specifically. I was like at like 12, and I would say, I mean, there's definitely some that I'm missing and stuff. So yeah, like so from when we started, if it was like, okay, maybe like two or three other companies to now, it's like, oh, there's a lot more. There's a lot more people, many more players in the game, kind of trying to do what we do. It's
yeah,
when
yeah,
it's cool to see. Like it's because in a lot of ways, I think we showed people that you can really do this at scale.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
because prior to Action VFX, most companies would simply do like just a pack here and there, like a pack of different stuff. And
yeah,
and really, when we came out, like the goal was always to we wanted to be the best, and we wanted to have the highest quantity, so highest quality, but also highest quantity too. Where
yeah,
I really wanted to get to a point where like we would have so many explosions ourselves that it would be hard to pick them out from something. So instead of like competing against other people, it's like, oh, we made, gas explosions volume 1. Well, let's make volume 2 and try to make it better. Let's make volume 3 and try to add something to it there. So it's been cool to take us another way, see just what we're doing and how we're growing is kind of inspiring a lot of different places
yeah,
to try the
yeah,
same thing too. But yeah, like it's definitely, I would say it's more people on the scene than when we first started. So
yeah. And like you said, you're thinking of even bigger. What more can you do? Adding not just kind of the pyrotechnics or the and we're going to take a look, like I said, at some of the assets that Action VFX provides. But I wanted to ask you, because you are starting to shoot like more film shots of
Hmm.
actors and things like that so that people can add other effects to it. One thing, I wanted to ask you is because I always found this a challenge when I was trying to find assets for whether they're images or whether they're, you know, footage, but assets with people of color. There wasn't a lot of them. Is that something that you kind of think about, even more as you're moving forward? Because you got a lot of creators now of different colors. That was always a big thing for me especially with images. You couldn't find, like I said,
Hmm.
an image library like Getty or something like that at the time. You're doing a little bit more of it, but you couldn't really find a lot of that image that you were looking for with somebody of
Hmm.
color in it. Or is that something that you kind of think about when you're doing like actor shots and things of that sort?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I think like that would be one advantage. It's like because you can't not see it, right? It's like if if you're black, it's very easy to see when you don't see anyone who looks like you. And I think when Action VFX first started, actually having to because we first started doing like the crowd assets, which were
Yeah,
like we shoot people on green screens and stuff like that. Like definitely a big thing is like, hey, I wanted this to actually look like people of the world and not
yeah,
just one type of people. So we made sure to do that. Like if you go to our practice footage library right now, like you'll see different shots that have different people of all races and stuff.
yeah,
And yeah, like it's yeah, I think it's definitely something that's important for sure because yeah, like it's pretty mixed world, a pretty mixed country
yeah, for
that
sure.
we
Yeah.
live in and stuff
Like I
and yeah,
said, that
so
used to drive me, like I said, just, insane. You wanted a particular image, and it's like, man, I can't find just a family out in the park, a black family out in the park, or something like that. It's like we do like to go out in the park and stuff. So,
yeah,
oh
yeah,
man,
no, it's that's something that's definitely I've seen a lot more people are conscious of
yeah,
that,
it's
which
gotten
is
way
good to
better for sure.
see. Yeah.
Mr. Jeffrey, appreciate that. Appreciate you being a fan. Hopefully, like I said, you'll continue to check out the show there. But appreciate you stopping by for sure. Mr. DeMille, happy Saturday to you there, brother. Always, thank you for being a loyal fan here and always supporting the show for sure. Like I said, we're gonna take a break and check out some of the stuff that Action VFX produces. Like I said, they they put out a lot of great content, not only paid, but they also have free practice footage uh, portion where you can just download free footage to use to get better at your VFX shots. So let's take a quick look before we move on and continue on with this.
Stock effects, stock assets, all these terms still refer to the same thing and can be used interchangeably. So what is it? Simply put, VFX stock footage is stock footage created specifically for use in visual effects. They are actual footage, not a software, but actual video footage of various elements like explosions, fire, smoke, fog, rain, that are captured and delivered in such a way that you, yes, you can add them to your shot to create some very realistic effects faster and cheaper than if you were to do it all for real on set. In visual effects, the field that deals with combining different visual elements together is called compositing. So you can have all those different elements and all those different layers, and it's a compositor's job to bring all that together to make it look as if it was all one shot. This is very common. Sometimes the shot requires elements that the compositor might not have access to, like a large fire or some snow, and that is when you'd go on the hunt for some high quality VFX stock footage. The process is simple. Once you find the footage that your shot needs, you can simply drag it to your scene and start working on making it look seamless. If you do it right, no one will be able to tell the difference. So why is VFX stock footage so important to visual effects? The first reason is it considerably helps you get a more realistic result, even if you're not that skilled. Why? Well, when something is a real element, it already looks and behaves like the real thing. For example, this window fire element was shot for real, so when you add it to your shot, you're bringing the realism of an actual burning building with very little effort. Without VFX stock footage, you'd have to simulate that fire from scratch, which not only probably wouldn't look as realistic, but it would cost you a lot more time. Which brings us to the second reason VFX stock footage is so important. It saves you time, a lot of time, and time is money. VFX shots can get complicated very quickly, and if you're having to build out your entire shot from scratch, you're wasting precious time. Sure, some things have to be built by you, but most elements don't. And when you can find stock elements that are shot well, at high resolutions, have different angles, and are built with visual effects artists in mind, it makes more sense to use VFX stock footage. This is the number one reason the top VFX studios in the world consistently use VFX elements. They're able to reduce the number of hours spent on a shot, which in turn saves them a lot of money and causes less overtime for their artists. Brian Haynes from Crafty Apes put it best when he said,
Action VFX gets me home to see my family.
So in short, VFX stock footage is one of the best tools you can add to your visual effects arsenal. Use something pre-made and simply make it easily work for your shot while saving a lot of time, money, and still getting very realistic results. There are a few places you can get them online, and you can even shoot your own elements. Sometimes that's what's needed. However, if you check out ActionVFX.com, I think you'll find that we provide pretty much everything you could ever need to create some awesome visual effects, and some of them are completely free. Our library grows every month, so we're always pumping out new content. I hope you enjoyed this video. We have a ton more tutorials that can help you become a better visual effects artist, so do also check them out on our website or our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe as well. Thanks for watching.
As you can see, amazing stuff. Has there ever been a shot that kind of got out of hand, like fire or pyrotechnics, or like you said, you have a pyrotechnics person there, but what was kind of the biggest challenge shoot that you guys have done as far as asset wise?
Oh, that's not a hard question at all. So in the summer of 2022, so we wanted to do like the next generation of our explosion assets, and we decided to try to build a 60-foot high green screen to actually keep everything in frame and stuff. Because so when we did like gas explosions volume 2 and then like dust explosions, like the first ones that we did, we just used the sky as a blue screen essentially.
Yeah.
So just shot it against the blue sky. But then the downside of that was we had to wait for clouds. So like some days we'd only be able to shoot for like maybe an hour or two because it's like the sky is cloudy. So for this next shoot, we're gonna be a bit more ambitious and actually, hey, how hard could building a 60-foot high green screen be? Well, very freaking hard, apparently, and very expensive. And yeah, I tried different setups, didn't really work. I think what we ended up doing was kind of using like shipping containers and stacking them on top of each other, and it was a let's just say I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't do it
sounds like an
again.
adventure for sure.
It was a long summer. It was hot. record heat every day, and then we had so much trouble with the green screen. So I think before shooting every day, we would have to go like stretch it out and try to do different things. And yeah, that I could do without that shoot, but yeah, we did get the footage, so it's there on the website. So
Well, along with
we made
that,
it
I
happen.
mean, you're getting, like you said, we have this. We're at this time now where you got, especially with the software that's out there. I'm sure you're familiar with Unreal and how
Mhm.
Unreal is used in virtual production and things like that. What are your kind of thoughts on that? And being able to get these different environments and different things in now
Mhm.
with software like Unreal.
No, yeah, I think it's great, and it's definitely a space that we want to play more in. So last November, actually, we launched our 3D library. So up to for the first like 7 years or so, we've only were just doing the stock footage, like the
Yeah.
2D side of things. But yeah, now we have the 3D library, and currently we just have a few vehicles and some weapons and stuff. But we definitely want to grow that library. I believe next month we're going to have like some landscape stuff that we can use to create like scenes and stuff, and we'll kind of keep growing that side of it, for sure. So yeah, like yeah, definitely want to play in the Unreal scene a lot more. A couple of years ago, we partnered with a company to like Undertone Effects. So they're an effects company for video games, and basically
Yeah.
what they did is they took some of our fire assets that were real and essentially converted them to be able to work with the Unreal Particle engine. So
Yeah.
so that's a
Uh-huh.
product that's out there now. Like if you go on the Unreal marketplace and search Action VFX Fire, you should be able to find that. So yeah, like I definitely, yeah, I love that space. I want us to have a bigger presence there because as you said, yeah, with virtual production and stuff, the like effects don't happen solely in post production now. It's
Yeah.
also during production, and of course, yeah, like yeah, I want Action VFX to be able to play a bigger role in that for sure. So
And
so
I'm
yeah,
sure they will
I'm a
for
big
sure.
fan.
You're a film director, you're a VFX person, you love films. What have you can you pick out a film or a shot that really impressed you how they did it?
Film. Well, I'm one of those people that definitely think The Dark Knight is the best movie ever made. So if I had to
Okay.
pick one film that I would say like that's my favorite, it would have to be. I still remember that first experience in 2008 watching it in theaters. I know, like just immediately feeling like, oh, I am a Gotham City citizen. Like, like the real world doesn't exist for this 2 hours and a half. So I'm a big, yeah, I love that movie. I would say it's my favorite movie. But as far as shot, uh, I'll tell you my favorite visual effects movie because it has a
Okay.
lot of those shots would be Pirates of the Caribbean 2.
Okay. Okay.
Um, Dead Man's Chest, which
Yeah.
I love that movie as a kid when it came out, and of course, like Davy Jones and his crew was
Yeah.
always like super mind blowing. But I didn't realize just how good it was until I went a few years without watching it, and then I think in like 2020, I went back and watched it, and I was like, wait a second, this is really good. Like it's not even like, oh, it's good because oh, it's good for 2006. It's like, no, like if this came out today,
Yeah.
I would still think this was really good and very impressive, and in a lot of ways looks more photoreal than a lot of things that are coming out these days, where some things can kind of look cartoony and stuff. And
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
I immediately was like, if this movie didn't win Best Visual Effects, then I'm losing all respect for the Academy. But hey, luckily it did. It did win Best Visual Effects back in 2006. So
Oh
respect for the
man.
Academy restored. But But yeah, like I would say like all of those, like that first scene when they first introduced Davy Jones and stuff is, to
Yeah.
me, is holds up so well and is so mind blowing. So
Yeah, for sure. Mr. Jeffrey, obviously loved your stuff. The dude's polished for sure. The dude's polished and their assets are polished as well.
hey, thank you,
Definitely.
Jeffrey.
Mr. DeMille, The Dark Knight and Inception. That's another great movie. I really love Inception.
Hmm.
Was the effects were not just the effects. It was just the story and
Hmm.
the whole thing well. And like I said, I think Christopher Nolan is another one of those great directors that
Hmm.
knows how to use visual effects and things to make that don't overshadow the story of what his
Hmm.
films are all about. For sure. I always like to ask guests, what's been the best piece of advice that somebody's given you that's really kind of served you?
Yeah. Yeah, so I would say two of them. So one was kind of a business advice, which a few years a few years ago I was watching this podcast, and the lady that was talking about kind of the idea that a lot of people want to be, they say they want to start a business, but what they really mean is they just want to be self-employed. And I was talking about actually wanting, like, okay, like think about starting an actual business and what that looks like and the impact that you want to make. And the advice was, she boiled it down to how she said it was like, the goal has to be to make at least six figures. And what she meant by that wasn't the number specifically, but she was trying to highlight the importance of, if you're going to go through the trouble of starting a business, then at least think bigger with it and think beyond simply, oh, I just want to make a living. Because if you're just trying to make a living, then you're going to build something small. You're going to build something that really only impacts you and
Yeah,
doesn't impact as many people. Yeah, I really took that to heart, because back then, in other ways, when I thought of business, it was more, oh, yeah, like it'd be cool to make a living and not have to, get a real job and stuff. But after hearing that, it kind of transformed it to the point where, yeah, like a business is more than just a thing to help me make a living. It's a
yeah,
thing to impact the world, to do something big, to actually, build something that other people can come and contribute to. And like, we have a team now, so these people depend on their families, and
yeah,
like
yeah,
to and and yeah, like none of that would have happened if I was still in the mindset of, oh, I'm just trying to make a living so I don't get a real job. So that really was a thing that shifted my mind and helped me think bigger in terms of what a business could be. And second advice I would say is, don't close doors on yourself. And what that means is, in life you're going to be rejected a lot for various reasons.
yeah,
People won't believe in you and all of that stuff. But like, the worst thing you can do is to shut the door on your own self. And at least be brave enough to get the rejection, and you'll know, like, hey, I got the rejection. But a lot of the time we reject ourselves,
yeah,
and we don't believe in our own ability. Like, for me specifically, I remember, the summer that I released that first uh asset pack that I told you about way
yeah,
back in 2011. So I worked on it for a whole summer, and then I just stopped working on it. No one told me I couldn't do it. No one said, hey, this is not going to work. It's just doubt out of nowhere just kind of came and was like, dude, like, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. Like, what do you think you're going to make some effects and then people are going to buy them, like, online, like strangers will buy it, like, like, don't. And yeah, so I think about that often, because it's like, this is literally, you could say, the biggest blessing in my life, right? Like, this journey that have led led me here. And all of it almost didn't happen, not because someone said I couldn't do it, not because someone shut a door, but just because of doubt out of nowhere. Like, oh, you know, you can't do this. You're just some kid from Haiti, right? Like
Yeah.
how you're going to actually succeed. And I remember I went to church one day and the pastor was preaching, and I don't even remember what I said now, but I just know whatever he said at the end of church that day, I just felt like I can run through a wall and do anything I put my mind, I put my mind, you know, to. And yeah, and you know, I needed that, and I've seen like the impact, just some motivation and actually believing in oneself can do, and you know, all the subsequent blessings that brought. So yeah, I always like to tell people, like, look, if you can think it, um you can figure out a way to do it. And yeah, there will be rejections. People won't believe in you. People will, you know, for whatever reasons, they'll find a way to, but just don't do it for yourself. Like, don't
Yeah.
do it to yourself. So
Yeah, no, amazing, amazing, and you guys know how I always like to do when those nuggets and that are dropped.
hey.
When a guest drops some
It's like mic
bombs,
drop.
mic drop. When a guest drops a bomb, I like to put it in there for sure. And definitely, like I said, it's always interesting and kind of funny. You know, we all go through these self doubts and this self talk of we can't do this or you know can't get it done. But just working past it, and I'm definitely one of those ones that you know, like I said, when you started a business, there's a lot of people that just like you said, they started business because they you know want to be their own boss and they think it's going to be less work and all that stuff, and they quickly get into it and find out hey, this is more work than me just getting a job. Oh
Definitely not
man.
less work.
Yeah. And you have to figure out all that, especially like I said, if you're not business minded, you have to learn all the business aspects, not just the creation of the assets and doing the work, but it's just all the business stuff that you have to learn as well. So it's definitely one, it's not for everybody for sure. Um, and it's definitely something like you said, you have to think outside of yourself because if you do have a team, they're depending on you for their livelihood and their family's livelihood. So it's a lot of pressure that goes into, you know, running a business and making it a successful business, not just a business that makes a few dollars here and there. That's not gonna work. Like I said, everybody that's just been jumping in or just jumping in, we've been having a fun conversation for sure. I always tell guests this time goes by really quick. We're about an hour and 20 minutes into this. For sure, it
Oh
goes
wow,
by.
no way.
It goes by quick for sure. But we've been having an amazing, amazing conversation with my friend Rodolphe here with Action VFX. And as we bring this in and kind of close this out, like you said, you've got this last question. You got, you know, you're thinking into the future for Action VFX and
Mhm.
kind of where you want to take Action VFX further. Just as a parting kind of question, where do you see Action VFX fitting in this space and time and into the future? Especially like we said,
Mhm.
technology is just going at this break pace speed and just
Mhm.
evolving. What are your kind of thoughts of where you're wanting kind of Action VFX to kind of go and fit within this industry?
Yeah. Yeah, so the biggest shift that's happening with Action VFX already right now, but you'll see it becoming more prevalent throughout this year, is kind of evolving to being a marketplace for visual effects. And what I mean by that is, you know, previously our business model was solely based on we make something, we sell something, we make
Yeah.
something, we sell something. But it's at the end of the day, we ourselves can only make so much, but there are so many other talented people throughout the world that can
Yeah.
make great assets
Yeah.
and are very, yeah, super talented. And we have a platform. We have a platform. We have a brand. We
Yeah.
have users. We have, a marketing team. We
So you have
have
everything
development
in
team
place.
to
Yeah.
build the infrastructure needed to actually get these assets sold to, the biggest studios in the world. So yeah, one way we're evolving is to, yeah, becoming a marketplace for visual effects that really, if you're a talented creator, whether you film stuff, whether you're an effects artist or you're a 3D artist, then you'll be able to actually partner with us and have your assets selling on our website. Now, of course, there's all those other things we're making sure to keep quality high, because we don't want
Yeah.
to, we want to keep the fact that we're a brand that's synonymous with quality assets. And but
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a big way we're approaching it. And the reason we're doing it like that is, as I said, the world is changing. The types of assets that people have are changing, and it's going to keep evolving. But at the end of the day, one thing we can count on is visual effects artists will always need
Assets.
tools
Yeah.
to
Tools and assets.
work
Yeah.
better, work faster. And if we position ourselves to be just the best provider of those tools and the best curator of those tools, then it's kind of a foolproof method where wherever the industry goes, we know we'll be able to impact our audience in the best ways. So
Yeah, awesome, awesome for sure, and I definitely, like I said, know that's going to be case. And like you guys see, I'm a big user of the content and love it as well. Um, Rodolphe, I can't thank you enough for being on the show, being a part of the Color of Motion family. Definitely would love Action VFX sponsoring the show. Think about that. But
yeah,
can't
for
again.
sure.
I cannot thank you enough for coming on and sharing, your knowledge, your journey, and just what Action VFX is doing, because it is such a big part of what I do as use as a content creator as well. So it definitely fills this space for sure. Um,
And
Make
thank you
sure
for having me.
everybody that you hop on over to all of their channels. Like I said, and check them out. Get connected with Rodolphe at Action VFX. They're on LinkedIn, Instagram. Definitely, like I said, check out their practice footage, and it's free. They got some great quality stock assets there that you can use to up level your skill. I use it myself to get better at what I'm doing. So definitely make sure that you hop on over to the YouTube channel. All this stuff will be in the show notes for sure. But again, cannot thank you enough, Rodolphe, for coming on and being a part of this show. It definitely helps to level up my show for sure. And as you can see, I'm a big user of the
No,
content. I
no,
love
yeah,
it.
no. Thanks for having me. This was really fun, and yeah, you're right. The time flew by for sure. So
Quickly. If you could hang out in the green room for just a second while I close out the show, I would appreciate it, Rodolphe. But please, Mr. Wayne, appreciate you stopping by there, man. Amazing surfacing artist. 3D artist for sure. Can't wait to get you back on for sure. But appreciate you, Wayne, for always supporting the show and stopping by and checking it out. But again, everybody, please help me thank friend again, Rodolphe Pierre-Louis, for coming on and being such a great guest for today's episode. Hang out for just a second, Rodolphe, while I close out the show. I appreciate
that was
it.
good.
Everybody, This has been a great episode. I really like this episode. Like I said, while I love, like I said, animation and 3D and stuff, I am a kind of a big nut for VFX and a really good VFX artist. I do a little bit of it myself. So this was a great episode. I was so looking forward again for Rodolphe coming on and being a part of the show because I've followed ActionVFX for a while, and like I've told everybody, I'm a big user of their assets, not only in the show, but in other stuff that I do. So thank you, Rodolphe, for being on. Guys, this has been, like I said, just another great episode for the show. I cannot thank you enough for stopping by and giving me, like I said, a little bit of your time every Saturday, 3 p.m. Central Time. I thank you for always supporting the show. Thank all my guests and friends. I always tell them, I don't have guests on, I have my friends on. So I thank all my friends for coming on and being a part of the Color of Motion show. For sure, and sharing their knowledge, their skills, and just their thoughts on the industry with you guys, because like I said, just like you, I'm learning and trying to level up myself as well. So I appreciate you guys so much and appreciate my friends for coming on as well. Yes, it was an awesome show reel. Like I said, definitely all this stuff, like I said, will be in the show notes. Make sure you hop on over there. Like I said, connect with Rodolphe. Go check out the free footage. Like I said, their free stock footage, practice footage is amazing, just as great a quality as their paid assets as well. So you definitely want to go there if you are a VFX nut and lover. You'll definitely want to use their stuff to level up your skills. Like I said, this season this first part of the season has been an amazing show for sure. We've had on a lot of great guests. Definitely don't want to miss out on next week for sure, because it will be the last episode for part one or quarter one of season 4 before we take a short hiatus. So I definitely don't want you to miss out, because we're going to have a great guest on next week as well. Mr. David Davies, 3D modeler with Hydra over in Lagos, Nigeria. So super excited to have him on to close this out before we take a short hiatus there. So cannot thank you enough for stopping by and being part of today's episode. So everybody have a great weekend, have a great week, and I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers, everybody.